So far in our presentation, we have outlined just a very basic definition of what ethics in the workplace is and why it's needed and why it can be necessary. We've also kind of outlined a little bit of why it is needed for management to be a leader in this process of creating an ethical workplace and why it's important and for them to be involved. Some of the types of ethical misconduct that can lead to a necessity of ethics and an ethics guide can be something as small from misuse of company time to falsifying time reports to creating a hostile work environment, having conflicts of interest, violations of internet policies. This includes security, misuse of passwords, misuse of information, using someone else in the company's information and password, lying to other employees, management, or customers, bribery, or misuse of authority. Now, this last one is not only something that's really important for managers to follow, but is something for employees to see that can also lead to problems with ethics. In 2013, the Edelman Test Barometer conducted a survey and found that only 15% of Americans trust the business leaders to tell the truth. From 1997 to 2013, the stock market returns for the 100 best companies to work for was 11.4%. On the Russell 1300 index, it was only 6.4. So this is just another example really showing about how if you create this ethical workplace for management from the top down, senior level down, not only is it better for your employees, but you have a greater return on investment and people will learn to trust you more. And this is a problem that most companies really do struggle with. Recent surveys have showed that 60% of workplace misconduct has involved someone with managerial authority. Then the 2013 Business Ethics Survey of the U.S. workforce said roughly 25% of all employees observed misconduct with not only managers, with senior level managers. This causes the employees to not only have mistrust and not, necessarily respect their managers, but creates an unethical culture. And culture within ethics is something that's really important because it's what you base your guidelines on. Because ethics is not only a general set of rules that you really need your employees to follow, but it's also something that they need to have inherent within them, something that your culture supports and something that it progresses through from the top down. So if you're having employees that are creating most of the ethical misconduct and have a staff that's viewing that, how are you going to build from that? Because there's going to be a lack of respect, a lack of authority. So this creates a lot of the ethical problems that we see. If you're having a staff that's doing unethical work, having misuse of time, misuse of security, of passwords, it's not only not because they're not afraid of their managers, which is not a culture you want to have, it's that they didn't respect the authority and the rules and the culture that they're creating, or there's already just a general culture that it's okay to be unethical here. The people who created the survey, who saw that 60% of managers create most of the misconduct, had to really kind of think of reasons as to why. They don't have as much authority. It's easy for them to overstep boundaries. They also have a lot more pressure on them to complete goals than maybe their staff does, and they are willing to go through questionable means to get there. And people also realize that management do not realize the unbiased power they have over their employees, not necessarily as an authority, but as an example. So, and from starting forward in a workplace, if you're trying to create an ethical environment, not only do you need to create a set of guidelines and have someone come into your company with an ethical set of guidelines and rules for your company, but even bigger than that, you need to create an ethical culture from the top down that does include management to ensure that these guidelines and this culture are being followed, to create that ethical time, which will not only benefit all your employees, but in the end give you almost a double return on stock investment. So it really is something that's important. I think it should be the basis of all ethical guidelines and policies within each company.